Okay, guys. Hey, Melissa here. Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? Leave comments below to chat with me. I like to be talking to people on here. There was a comment I did erase earlier. I do erase comments that seem kind of negative. But somebody had said, you talked yesterday, basically, I had talked yesterday about women being catty, things at work, and yeah, I got this guy messing with me at work. And she had pointed that out. I know he is. I'm just trying to figure out how to approach this, I'm not real um not real how do I say this? Not real happy about having to deal with this. Like it doesn't motivate me to go to work, right? So, if you look at one of yesterday's videos, I think I had talked about it. Yeah. So, um, it just isn't making sense. So when I went into work, I'm like, hey, to my boss, I'm like, did you forget about me? And she's like, what do you mean? And I go, I'm not on the schedule. And she goes, well, I don't have any mornings for you. And I'm like, okay, you want to be calling me in then? And I'm thinking, I gave you full availability. When you hired me, you said you had 2 days for me, and now I'm not even on the schedule. This is with someone who does a good job. I work really good. I'm a good worker. They've got me all over the place. So now I have to deal with that. And so don't let a job hold you back from your personal goals. So many people allow jobs to run their life when you should be running your life. So, I had yesterday off, enjoyed my time off. I had like about a week off before that because I had gone to the conference. And then they had called me in on Monday, and I said I'm going to pass because I had to digest. Seriously, I was trying to digest all the activity of the weekend. So, took a day off for myself just to relax. Today, I'm feeling better. I'm feeling good again. Um, but don't let a job hold you back. Like, my husband worked at one place for 20 years. I don't even think he's up to $20. Maybe he's finally up to 20, not sure. So, don't let a job hold you back from not only making money, but investing in yourself. I was talking to one of the guys at work, and like my husband, he's a mechanic, and he learned it all on his own. All on his own. And my husband, started off doing the same thing. His grandfather had a garage, and, they took an engine out, and my husband's always been a car guy. So he was really motivated to get into the car industry, going from the restaurant business to the car industry. Totally supported him, helped him find, college, uh, community college and everything. He got his ASEs, and this guy was talking about getting his ASEs, but he is super motivated where my husband let his ASEs go. He just didn't care anymore. The company wasn't really, rewarding that. So, um, you shouldn't, though, let a company get in the way of learning and constantly moving forward. So I will be looking for more work at another place. I already got an application in somewhere. I just don't have time for this. I don't have time for games. I've got goals I want to, make happen in life. When was it? So when I was at McDonald's after my car broke down here, the guy had hired me at a certain amount of hours, and I'm like, okay, cool. Not even a week after he had changed my hours. I don't even think I had really even really started, and the company was cutting hours back big time. So I'm like, you know what? This is what you hired me on. I can't get to hours, so I'm going to pass and go somewhere else. And that's what I did. And I think that's when I had headed over to the Broadmoor. Yeah, for a better opportunity. So, speaking of the Broadmoor, I want to talk about that. And this goes along with talking about work and school, etc. So, I talk about my success story, graduating early from high school. My family threw me this big party. Um, I had another party after graduating from high school with the people from the bow and arrow shoots that we knew for years. That was awesome. My mom brought me a hope chest. So a lot of my dance costumes were in there. My mother probably still has all my stuff. A lot of times she did take like my stuff and I had no idea where it went. But anyways, so when I graduated early from college, that was really a turning point in my life because like I said, I was just lost. I was just like, I thought I was going to marry the guy with who I was pregnant with my first child, and then my mother took over, and there was this abortion and a breakup, and so I dated this other guy. When you have, I lost my first child to an abortion, and when you have an abortion, it does bring you down. So um, I had pretty much though stayed on my feet as much as possible because before the abortion, I had tried to break up with my boyfriend. There was a guy I kind of already liked a little bit. And I just connected with him, right? Because that was what kept me going. That was my freedom. And, for someone who had perfect attendance, though, I was now skipping school, hitchhiking. He did drugs. I did not do drugs. I remember going over to Pittsfield where one of his friends, one of the guys we worked with, um, did cocaine, and I had saw the stuff, and I just did not touch it because my father had scared the living daylights out of me, rightly so, and said if you ever did drugs, I will kick your butt so hard you won't walk for a week. So that's all it took with his look of, fear, a Clint Eastwood look. So, kind of like make my day. So, anyways, I never did drugs, but then once, I'm trying to think here, I'm trying to stay on track with so much. So, when I graduated early from high school, after dating Mike was the guy I dated after Randy. And then Ben and I, my husband, we dated. We were like, look, we've been friends for since second grade. Why not date? So we were hanging out. We were going to the movies, out to eat, blowing money. Really no direction for either one of us. He took me to this mall, Fox something mall, and we spent money there. And he was spoiling me as we dated. I was materialistic a little bit. I mean, I had a like very minimalist type of father, but with my grandmother and everyone spoiling me, I kind of did get spoiled with stuff. So I remember I wanted this little bear at the mall with my birthstone topaz, and he brought that for me. Cute little bear. And then I was working, we had broken up. I was working for the state, and by then I had a credit card, and I went and blew a bunch of money on clothes. I mean, that was stupid, right? So I went and did that, but I justified it because I was working for the state and I needed nice clothes, and I was buying clothes at Fashion Bug, I think it was. So I think when we got back together, it was he had chopped up my credit card for me. So, we had gone through that, and then I dated when he broke up with me, which really just over college, he broke up with me, which was really stupid. He didn't want me going to college. And then I went to college anyways. We got back together. I happened to have a Christmas party that they set up in Manchester over in Epsom at the old mill. He was working there. We saw each other. We missed each other only a couple months, and we were back together. And then we started living together. And my aunt's old place on North State Street, we ended up getting married. And after living together on Route 28 in my Uncle Bill's place, we had moved in over there. But before we had gotten married, he had broken up with me at one point before when we were on Monroe Street. And he just, college wasn't working out for me. It just wasn't. So he broke up with me because I didn't want to, because we had lost the apartment because I had quit Bregan court reporting because it just wasn't for me. And it's not like I couldn't find another job. I think I went to the Cat and Fiddle after that. But the point was the place was expensive. It was a super expensive apartment, our first apartment. We had no idea what we were doing. So he went back to his mother as usual. And we were just hanging out, and we ended up getting back together at a party. But anyways, um, it wasn't until after that when 88, 89, yeah, I graduated early, and then his direction, like he just was like, so 89 I graduate, 90 we're living together. I had some direction with college. So my second decision after graduating early was college, and it was a good decision. And this is where I want to get into the Broadmoor. So I was going to college, and not that he was helping me, really. He was being a bum, hanging around with the wrong people, everything. So I'm going to college, and I'm trying to, make something out of my life, as my dad would say. And I'm dealing with a lot of business people. Now, when I was at the Broadmoor yesterday, I saw this again. And the things I saw when I was in college really made me not want to go to college. I mean, I did have hearing problems when I was younger, but I was succeeding doing court reporting. And I had this older guy as a teacher, a professor, and he was a good teacher. And I was with a lot of the girls. I mean, I felt like I did not fit in with some of the girls, and I felt like I wasn't quite fitting in at this court reporting firm. I was on Elm Street in Manchester. I dyed my hair blonde. I was still trying to kind of figure things out and take direction. So my second best decision was to not finish college. Honestly, it was. I was like, you know what? This is stupid. I see these business people as fake can be, and you see this in the business stuff. I see it today. Going to the Broadmoor. I saw it yesterday. You see people who are just putting on a show. They're trying to impress people they really don't care about. They talk the talk. They don't walk the walk. And I'm not saying all business people are like this, because I just went to a conference with a lot of business people. Very sincere, very authentic, very real. They've got a mission. They're trying to make a difference in the world. Total different business world, right? So it's not the fact that you go to college or you are in a business world that will make or break you. It's just what type of business world you're in. So I had told my teacher, look, I've had hearing problems. I don't know if I would be that good, being a court reporter in college. I had been actually looking, I think, for some reassurance from him before I made my decision. And he was like, yeah, well, he's like, yeah, the hearing is important. And, I wasn't really bonded with this guy or close to him. And looking back, he probably wasn't the best person to go to for me to get advice. I was working with a real witchy woman who was my boss, and I didn't even have to do anything for her to be down my throat. There was this guy who was big attorney. He was gay. I remember putting my foot in my mouth as a young girl at the Christmas party. We were all sitting around and talking, and I had said something, and I said something about someone being gay, and he's like, well, hey, Melissa, guess what? I'm like, what? Now, this guy was gorgeous, model looking guy, right? He's like, I'm gay. And I'm like, what? And I had just said something. I'm like, no way. Are you really? And I mean, I was very authentic. I was really, true to myself. And I was just like, what a waste of a man. I did not say that. I did not say it to him, but I was just a young and naive and really did not even know. And there was just a lot there, with people just, all out for themselves. And I knew at that time, and that was a huge decision maker for me, like at what, 19, that these type of people were not the type I wanted to invest in. Now, looking back, could I have done it who I am now? Definitely. I could have gotten past it and no big deal. But even as I was at the Broadmoor yesterday, I was just like so glad that I am not part of this. I'm so glad with who I am, not to judge them, but who I am. I mean, you have, even working at the Broadmoor, you have policies over there where you cannot be yourself. You just can't. You get into these big companies and you have to compromise a lot of yourself in order to fit in order to succeed. So it's almost like, what's the point, right? So I'm like, no, I don't want that. So I knew that it wasn't for me. I just knew, and I said, I'm going to remain true to myself. So that was like the second major big decision I made in my life that was right. And I did have family who didn't even know what was going on, like my father-in-law say, oh, you just spent money, what a waste of money. And really, it was none of his business. He wasn't even part of the decision-making process. And what had happened was my mother, I graduated early on my own, and my mother offered to pay for college. And then when the grant didn't come through that I applied for, she was all upset about that. And it's just like, look, you said you would pay for this, and now you're going back on your word on me. So, yeah, so that was taken care of. And then I was just like, pretty much, I was living at home and my husband was living at home, and I'm like, I'm not living at home. I am not doing this. So I went and got an apartment by myself. And then my husband and I got back together, so he moved in with me. Tiny little place. I was working for the state, and then I was working for the pizza place. I was dating other guys, and I was making some good decisions. One guy was full of baloney, so I broke up with him. Another guy, I mean, he was a detective, but I just wasn't interested. I was waitressing. Um, and then my husband and I got back together. But what I wanted to say about this too was that was such a shaky time for me too, with dating different guys, trying to figure out things. And then I had one guy I was dating, and I had gotten back to my husband. So, well, I hadn't dated him yet. He was just actually interested in me. Um, so then I went off and I went to hairdressing school. So that was a good decision. I don't regret that at all. That was a real good decision. And I actually worked at a salon in Derry while I was waitressing at the Common Man and while I was going to hairdressing school. So I had like three jobs. And I learned a lot, and that is actually where I met a Christian for the first time. Her name was Carla at the hair salon, and she was like, inviting me to her picnic, and I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. So I went over there, and they were opening a Bible, and they were Christians, and I'm like, this is so weird to me. I can't wait to get home. So that was like my first introduction to being a Christian. I mean, I was way out there in the world. And then as I was, almost done hairdressing school, I was now pregnant with my firstborn son. And that was something that my husband and I were surprised about. And I actually graduated while I was pregnant with him. I think I had 3 months to go, so all the girls knew. I don't know what the school policy was at that time, but I was like, I don't even know if I really told them that I was pregnant. I was just going to school, and I was telling the girls and my husband's cousin and everything that, I was pregnant. And yeah, so um I was, that whole abortion was buried. I didn't even think twice about that, and I just had moved on, and now I was married and pregnant, so everything seemed to be okay. So that was the second or third and fourth good decision I made. Not only graduating from hairdressing school and I finished, but I did it while I was pregnant. So don't think that you cannot make your dreams come true when you are pregnant. I know years ago, school policies were like, if you're pregnant, you can't finish school. You can do it. And that was like, what, 30 years ago? So then another good decision, once you get the ball rolling, you can make one decision, good one after another. So then I decided to stay home. Yes, I went to college. Yes, I went to hairdressing school. But I'm like, you know what? It makes more sense for me to take Medicaid and stay home with my son than to work at the salon. So I did that. That was another good decision. Then I went to church. There was another one. I got saved. There was another one. And when you look back and you're like, wow, look at these decisions you made. And then there was homeschooling. I made that decision. You look at it and it grows your confidence. And you're like, yeah, I'm being true to myself. Stay on the narrow path and make the good decisions. And I made a lot of good decisions. And then it was really focusing on my family, taking homemaking seriously, good decisions with all three of my home births, even the hospital decisions. Two hospital births, one where I got the works and I had all the everything, epidural, everything. And then the second one at the hospital, voicing myself and said, I'm going natural. I'm not doing what I did the first time. So all those decisions, going to different churches, being like, look, I don't like what I see in this church, so I am moving off to another one. Like 20 different churches. Don't be afraid to change churches. As you grow in your walk with God, don't be afraid to let church get in the way. Your own walk with God is the priority. So as I look back and I'm like, yep, good decision, good decision. Keep on being confident in yourself that you are making good decisions. So that's what I got for now, guys. And when you don't have direction in life, look for mentors. Even as a Christian, I was walking with different ladies, asking questions, getting mentorship, taking classes, taking Bible studies. Invest in yourself and your whole life. And that's pretty much what I've done on top of investing in my husband and my kids. Just invest in yourself. Don't worry so much about the money or the stuff. Invest in yourself. Okay, thanks for joining me today, guys.